Hey kids, slightly scruffy looking old man back for another week of Old Man Plays CFL Weekly Fantasy. None of that fancy dancy new stuff for me. I'm sticking with the regular things. I'm in the CFL Podcast Network League again this year and scored 71.9 points in my first week, which was embarrassing and lost. But moving forward, I mentioned on the flagship show earlier this week, it dropped yesterday, that my first week I was rusty. I went in on gut instinct and it didn't work out terribly well. These early season games are hard to predict. I mean, look at it this week again. We've got 3 teams that haven't even played yet, 3 teams that have 1 game under their belt, and there's so many changes. So I said I was going to try a slightly more analytical approach, and it has worked, I think, to a degree. We'll see where it takes us, but basically, I went back and looked at the games last year between these 2 teams head to head and who got a lot of points and who didn't, and sort of took it from there. Now, there's a lot of caveats on this. Toronto has a new defensive coordinator, so will the same people be in the same spots? will it work as well against that defense for Montreal as they did last year? Montreal has a new offensive coordinator. Sorry, not Montreal. Winnipeg has a new offensive coordinator. So again, will the players there that got the ball get the ball this year? Hard to say. And BC and Saskatchewan got a lot there, but we can't see the depth charts yet. And I'd hate to put a lot on something and then find that it doesn't work out. So anyway, just to let you know what I found, I've got a list of people that did reasonably well and some that I'm going to avoid. So Coxie averaged 11 points against Montreal last year. That's something that might be worthwhile. Lower price players, Maitel and Unger both had 8. When you get to Montreal, Philpott had 10, Sneed had 7.5. Winnipeg, like I said, new OC, so who knows? And it was kind of a wash. Dembski was the best at 9, and who else did they? Basically, they had Wilson at 8. For Hamilton, against this same Winnipeg defense, Lawler had 7, Smith had 7, so I think I'm going to avoid them today. Hatcher against Saskatchewan averaged 13, so he looks good. Other than that, I don't know if Katoy's going to be in the lineup, but he was 5 and so was McInnes. So I'd stay away from McInnes today. He doesn't do as well against Saskatchewan. And then for Saskatchewan on their side, Johnson only had 1 game, 7 points. Elmo had 1 game, the final 14 points. So those both look pretty good. And then Schaefer Baker, if he's not too expensive, at 9. And Dell Duncan Busby was 4.6. So unless you really need a cheaper option, I'd stay away from that, I think. So for me, it's going to be a matter of looking at what I saw in week 1, trying to figure out from there, not necessarily jump on the best people from there, because you never know week to week, and defenses will change up and they'll try and stop the big guy from the week before, so you never know. But I'm going to put some of that together with some of this here that's in this one to see where we're at and see what we come up with. So that's going to be the strategy this week. So let's fire up the old computer and try and put a team together with the money they give us. Here we go. Okay, so here we go. Probably the biggest question this week is quarterback, as every week. A lot of people will be taking Nathan, and I could do that to protect myself, so I match them. But I've got a feeling that Alexander, he's playing what could be a weaker defense. We don't know in Toronto, but they're still questionable. So I think I'm going with him, and that also saves me a half a K. That could be worthwhile down the road. So now go to wide receiver, and now I think I'll look to Taylor Sneed. I mean, even though he didn't do fantastic, 7.5 points averaged against Toronto last year, but his game last week and the connection him and Alexander seemed to have developed. I think I'm going that way. So these are my high-priced ones, and then I got burnt by taking a low-priced running back last week. We'll go over here. Let's see. Butler, he didn't do so well against Saskatchewan, didn't run as well against them last year. And Ouellette, I don't know. I think I'll spend the money. Well, it's actually the same price for Oliveira, or he's cheaper than Butler. So we'll go there. So what does that leave us here now? That's 28 for, so we have to average about 7K. So let's do this. Let's start out as a baseline. Let's see what the cheapest defense we can find is. So we'll come over here. We'll change this to by price. So it looks like Montreal's the most expensive. Ottawa's not playing. So Hamilton gets a distinction. So we're going the Hamilton defense. Then that leaves us 22. So average is about 7. All right, then. Well, for a running back, we want the second one to be cheaper. So let's go with Thies, who's starting in Montreal again, I think. Where did you go? Montreal Alouettes. Yeah. They don't even have the backup on here. So he got a lot of runs last week. I might be tempted to take him, but he's not there. So let's go to the wide receiver position now, and that leaves us 15, 16K for there. So if we go in the 6 to 8K range, open this back up to everybody, and let's see, who do we have here for, oh, this is the low range. Stearns, Miller, Bridges. Let's take a look if I go the other way. If I take the top of it, Julian Grant. Hollins didn't perform well enough to make me think. Wheatfell and Stearns, I would say, are the two that are worth looking at here in this range. And Wheatfell's going back to Winnipeg. He'll want to make up for that drop last week. Let's give him a try. Okay, so now we're down to 10K for our flex receiver or flex player. So let's see what we've got there. Let's move this up to 8 to 10K. Oh, there's not a wide range. Okay, Mac isn't playing. Oh, my. Oh, but wait, there's Tommy Neild. He did fairly well last week, and I have a lot of faith in him. So that puts us, yeah, I kind of like that team. It didn't get driven so much by my analytics, but it informed it some. It told me some of the people that I want to stay away from. So there we go. I've got to, of course, put a captain on, and we'll make Mr. Alexander. Hopefully he has another fantastic game at home captain. So there we are. The team will be Hamilton Tiger Cats on defense. Davis Alexander from Montreal is my quarterback. Brady Oliveira from Winnipeg, and Travis Thies. However, I have trouble with your name. Sorry. Anyway, from Montreal is going to be the running backs. Taylor Sneed from Montreal and Carrick Wheatfall from Hamilton are going to be my receivers, and my flex guy will be Tommy Neild. So I've stayed completely away from the Saskatchewan BC game. Might be a good idea, might not, but that's what I'm doing. There we go. Lock it in, and we're done. Okay, that's it. Them's my picks. As I say every week, use them at your own peril. Who knows? 71.9 last week wasn't great, but I'm hoping that my logic here is a little better this week. So that's it. If this has been any help to you, please drop a like at least. And if you're doing it on the podcast, Apple, if you're on there, well, the way a lot of people are, they make ratings and reviews really easy. A nice 5-star rating and a good review would really help us out a lot. And of course, subscribe, whether you're on any of the podcatchers or if you're on YouTube. That helps us out, and it makes sure you don't miss a minute of all this. My smiling face and expertise. Yeah, right. Anyway, that's it. Hope you have a great weekend of fantasy football. If you play Pick'em, I hope you have a great weekend there. And more important, I hope we all get a great weekend of football. That one last week, even with the ugly game at the end, they were all kind of exciting. The first two were amazing. And I'm looking forward to this week, especially the Lions at the Riders. That, who knows, that could be a barn burner. So anyway, that's it for this week. Old man, signing off.